Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Roderick Power, the mayor for the city of Markham. I'd like to welcome everybody this morning. I hope everybody is getting in the door here comfortably because it's very frigid outside. But I didn't order the weather, that's for sure. We're here for a great occasion this morning. I'm very proud to say that we've had some improvements along I-57, 294, and certainly here locally, just from the corridor down from University Park up to clear to Blue Island. It's just been beautiful about all the great things that have happened along I-57 and 294 in the local corridors. I want to thank the governor, and I'd like to thank as well our legislature for all the hard work that they have done to making the Southland what I believe, for me as a child, what it once was. And that is to be able to drive those corridors and come down to the front door of the Southland and to see it start to come back and be as beautiful as it once was. This is a statement to what the Southland is becoming and all over again, and I really appreciate all the great things that our state government is doing to improve that and make that better. So when you come this way, just think that for the Southland, just the revitalization that is taking place, just think about the wonderful things that it once was and now that it's becoming by all the dedication and the hard work from all the people in Springfield and our governor. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our governor, J.B. Pritzker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate you. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I want to I see we've got a number of members of our law enforcement and fire services here. Thank you for the work that you do on all of our behalf. Great to see everybody this morning. It's a great day. We have with us behind me, I'm not going to name everybody because, well, many of you know who they are, but I'll just call out our great Secretary of Transportation, Omar Osman, who's with us today. Of course, all the mayors and local officials, community leaders, and really all of you. Thank you for your participation in what is an uplifting of our entire state's infrastructure. Very, very proud of where we've come over the last few years. I-57 is the longest interstate in Illinois, and it's a key roadway for commuters and commerce alike, with up to 140,000 vehicles passing through this critical artery every single day. Over the nearly 60 years since I-57 was first built, this region has grown exponentially. And with it, I-57's capacity fell drastically behind. Rundown surfaces, frequent closures, major congestion, dangerous conditions. It was clear when I took office, if we wanted to improve safety and bring economic growth, the state needed to deliver long-awaited infrastructure improvements here in Will and Cook counties and throughout Illinois. Now, today, I couldn't be prouder that we have reached two major milestones in the rebuilding of I-57. The resurfacing of 13.1 miles of roadway from County Line Road to Stager Road, and the resurfacing of 7.6 miles of roadway from I-294 to Halsted Street. Our two-year, $85 million investment created good-paying jobs and has produced a smoother, safer ride for all who use I-57. The IDOT team and the extraordinary women and men of organized labor have left no stone unturned. Mainline, shoulder, ramp, rest area, and way station repairs, new bridge deck, drainage improvements, and so much more. This project has been about safer travel for our families and more efficient travel for our nation's freight network, laying the foundation for jobs and economic development along the I-57 corridor and beyond for decades to come. This has been a project of Rebuild Illinois, our state's massive infrastructure modernization program, the goal of which is to make life better and easier for all of our people. When we make smart investments in the roadways that working families and businesses rely upon, we're constructing a better future for this entire region. One where parents and their children can commute with confidence, and where new factories and distribution centers are choosing to locate in Illinois so that they can reliably ship their products all across this nation. And there's so much more to do. After decades of neglect, we are delivering the kind of infrastructure improvements that Illinoisans have been waiting for. We're investing $94 million to remake Wood Street and Ashland Avenue, a key commercial, industrial, and residential corridor that runs through Harvey and Dixmoor and Riverdale, modernizing 90-year-old infrastructure while making a critical investment in multiple communities to improve safety, support economic development, create jobs, and enhance quality of life. And it's not just our roads. With projects like the reconstruction of the Cottage Grove Station, the upcoming Auburn Gresham Metro Station, and $500 million for the CREATE program, freight and commuter rail enhancement, Rebuild Illinois is upgrading all modes of transportation across our state. Rebuild Illinois is making possible a $13 million redo of the 147th Street Sibley Boulevard station in Harvey, including adding an elevator to make it accessible to people with disabilities. Another partnership between Pace, Metra, and the city of Harvey will reconstruct the Harvey Transportation Center, opening up transit options as well as surrounding economic development possibilities. We're building our future with ambition, with efficiency, and with purpose. And that future really couldn't be brighter. With that, I'm proud to turn the podium over to our great Secretary of Transportation, Omer Osman. Omer?
Good morning, and thank you, Governor. Good morning, everyone. It is great to be back in the South Suburb. Thank you. I want to give a shout out to the entire team at IDOT. We have our Director of Highways, Chief Engineer Steve Fravier is here. The leadership of District 1 is Sam and Erickson, and several other IDOT employees are here today, and they do a great job day in, day out. I'm very proud of them. And I would like to give a shout out to all of the local elected officials, state legislators, and of course Governor Pritzker for their effort to make this day possible. I am proud today that we are joined by students from our highway construction career training program at the South Suburban College. These students have made a commitment to start a career in the trades, and projects such as this one are giving them a head start by providing on-the-job training. Helping people start a career and grow a business is at the heart of our mission at IDOT under this governor. You are an inspiration to all of us. I have been very lucky to attend many events like this since the governor and the General Assembly passed Rebuild Illinois in 2019. Ones like this are special because they highlight an improvement that fixes a long-time problem and makes our infrastructure more sustainable for the long term. There is an old saying that you don't build a new addition to your house when the roof is falling in. These resurfacings and bridge repairs address a frequent local concern about ride quality on I-57. They also are a smart investment to make sure our existing roads and bridges are meeting the needs of the public. It is one of the many hallmarks of Rebuild Illinois. This project, practically overnight, positively impacted safety, quality of life, and reliability in this region. Lastly, the snow on the ground might say otherwise, but we are still in the last weeks of construction. If you are driving anywhere in Illinois, you are driving through an IDOT work zone, and there are many of them in this area. Please, slow down when you see workers and equipment. Stay patient, put down the devices, And please pardon our dust while we continue to rebuild Illinois. Thank you for having us. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce a true champion of infrastructure, Senator Harris. Senator.
Good morning. Thank you guys for being here today. Today is historic. Today is historic because we get another opportunity to invest in the Southland, to invest in the South suburbs. For many of you, like myself, I grew up here riding down I-57 since I was a little boy, and I'm still riding down it. And today is important because we get an opportunity to make historic investments. And when you think about I-57, it's just not a corridor or an expressway in which children and families get the opportunity to drive to school and to work. But this is the culmination of many different bodies of government working together. When you talk about the highway construction program at South Suburban College, where young men and women have an opportunity to gain gainful employment by learning a skill, a trade, so they could take care of their families and earn a living at a living wage. That's important for the IDOT to partner with local universities and local schools of higher academia to have those type of opportunities. It's also important because with the Rebuild Illinois program and things that I voted on down in Springfield along with my colleague, Representative Will Davis, and with the Governor Pritzker's signature on that bill, gives us the opportunity to make historic investments in our community. We know when we're traveling to and fro and to, that we don't want to run through potholes, we don't want to tear up tires, and we want commerce to move back and forth. We have this beautiful Amazon building right here locally here in Markham. We want those transportation hubs to be exciting. We want them to be fresh. We want them to be accessible. And this is what Rebuild Illinois has done and allowed us to do in the Southland, for having us to have accessible roads and jobs. And I think it's so important that we continue down that path. And I want to thank Secretary Osmond and Governor Pritzker for their leadership in infrastructure. Today is a beautiful day because we are now making investments in infrastructure here in the Southland, in the South suburbs, and those things are going to pay off because they're going to connect not only the Southland, but they're going to connect the globe. They're going to connect the world because commerce travels through I-57. And we want to make sure that these roads are suitable to maintain the truck traffic, to create good paying jobs, and to make sure that our communities are safe. So thank you, Governor Pritzker. Thank you, Secretary Osmond, for your dedication and hard work with this. And with that, I'm going to bring up my state representative, Will Davis.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. As the senator indicated, I'm Will Davis. I represent the 30th district, which is out here in the south suburbs. Many of the communities that the governor mentioned in his remarks that are receiving the upgrades to I-57 as it runs through the Southland are in my district. So I'm pleased and honored to be here with you today to say thank you to Governor Pritzker for his leadership, to Secretary Osmond for implementing that which the legislature puts in force, as well as many of these mayors and other local elected officials who are advocating for their communities in ways that we've never seen advocacy come before. While many people think that the state of Illinois does everything, it doesn't do everything. But one thing that we do, and one thing that we do well, is that we pass capital bills. These are huge amounts of resources that we can then reinvest into our communities. It's bonding programs, and I'd be remiss if I didn't, again, commend Governor Pritzker on his efforts to make sure that we pass a balanced budget every year, which has resulted in several credit upgrades that allow us to then expand programs like our capital program to do more of that investment in the communities in which we all serve, particularly out here in the Southland. Like Senator Harris, growing up in Harvey, I saw a lot of I-57 when my parents were traversing, whether it was into the city to visit friends or going south to visit relatives in Arkansas, where Calvin Jordan is from as well, like my relatives. I-57 is truly that one corridor that links all of the entirety of the state of Illinois. When you're traveling down south, if you're not stopping in southern Illinois, what you're aiming for is that big green bridge that takes you from Illinois over into Missouri, and a lot of you know which bridge I'm talking about. But programs like this are what's absolutely necessary to make sure that we are continuing to make Illinois a destination as a whole. Southland is a beneficiary of that. We are bringing resources here. We are bringing development here to our communities. We're bringing job opportunities to our communities. And so this is like the center point, in my opinion, of a lot of real development. We're creating work opportunities through South Suburban College. I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Stokes, the president of South Suburban College, as well as Rebecca Garcia, who runs that training program where we're seeing young men and women, particularly young men and women of color, who wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to work in this type of way, are getting the training necessary so that they can reinvest themselves in our communities, live in our communities, bring their dollars back to our communities, and make sure that they are sustaining themselves and their families as well. So there's a lot going on here. A lot happens as a result of a large capital bill. My guess, during my time in the legislature, I'll see another capital bill, and we'll be having a very similar conversation talking about what can we do with those kinds of resources. What ways do we need to grow and develop our communities? While these dollars are targeted towards state roads like I-57, now that sets the stage for all of our mayors that are standing in the audience and behind me to start now focusing on their local roads and building those roads. It's often said that when you look at the condition of the roadway, that says a lot about what you can expect from the community. Now, our communities have suffered from disinvestment for a very long time. So we're now having the opportunity not only on the interstate roads, but now moving that into the communities. They have the ability to now start reforming and transforming their communities as well, bringing logistic growth, which is really big out here in the Southland, as well as commercial and retail growth as well. We're fortunate enough to be the beneficiary of one of the new casinos out here in the Southland, right off Interstate 294 at Halsted Street. So there's a lot happening in the Southland. And what we are doing is working collaboratively to make sure that we continue to build the Southland, working together. I'm happy to see our first responders here as well, because on these interstates we're talking about, if there's an incident, they're often the ones that have to respond to that incident on the interstate. There's no State of Illinois Fire Department. We do have State of Illinois Police, but when we talk about the need for emergency services and fire services, they're the ones responding to the needs on I-57. So we have to make sure that what we are doing is investing in the roads so that they can get to those incidences when they happen as well. Again, there's a lot happening out here in the Southland. We're very proud of all the things that are happening out here in the Southland. And again, I want to commend Governor Pritzker, Secretary Osmond, and all of you for being here this morning, but to acknowledge the great work that we're doing out here in the Southland. And we're looking forward to continuing to grow and to work more in the Southland, to grow it into that diamond that we know that it has been in the past and that it will continue to be into the future. And with that, according to my list here, I need to bring up Commissioner Gordon. Is that correct? Commissioner Gordon to offer some remarks.
Good morning, everyone. I am very honored to be here. Special thanks to my colleagues, all of the local elected officials, as well as our governor, Governor Pritzker, and as well as Secretary Osmond. Today is a great day for the state of Illinois because our governor, who has taken charge, our governor who has changed the reputation of our state from being a state of debt to a state that's looked upon as a state of innovation. Rebuild Illinois, the multi-billion-dollar capital bill that has created great investment all over our state. And specifically, we're talking about the significant investment of $82 million today to our infrastructure, I-57. Now, this investment means a lot, not only to the Southland, but also the South Side of Chicago. And I represent both parts. I'm the commissioner of the 5th District, which is 49% of the South Side of Chicago, 51% of the South Suburbs. And these areas, even though, one is the city and one is the South Suburbs, they are very under-resourced areas. So when we think about this opportunity, and my colleagues have stated before that spurs economic growth, job creation, safety, mobility, opportunities for everyone, encourages transit-oriented development. This is an opportunity for everyone to have a better quality of life, not based on your zip code. This significant investment means everything to the Southland and the South Side of Chicago. And furthermore, I want to talk about how the opportunities that will come about from this investment. And as I stated before about transit-oriented development, the corridors, more jobs, more economic growth. I am very proud to be a part of the growth of the Southland. And a lot of times I talk about interconnected disparities. And what that means is the inequities, the different inequities that we face in the Southland and the South Side of Chicago. When you think about transportation, transportation is important when you talk about the social determinants of health. Transportation gets you everywhere. Safety, mobility, and also access. So thank you to everyone here. Thank you to the local elected officials. Thank you, Governor Pritzker, for being a leader in our state to move our state forward. And I appreciate how the different levels of government can work together to bring a prosperous future for all of us. Thank you. And next, I would like to bring back our fearless leader, Governor Pritzker.
Thank you. Before I take questions, I just want to key off of something that that Representative Will Davis said. The state does pass capital bills, you're right, and has done it somewhat regularly over the years. But you all need to take some congratulations here, you in the General Assembly, for passing the largest capital bill ever in the history of the state. It's rebuilding not just our roads and our bridges and our airports, but also our colleges, our universities, making sure that really the modernization is occurring all across the state of Illinois. So I'm very proud of the work that we did together, the General Assembly, Representative Davis. Senator Napoleon Harris is truly a leader in the state Senate and someone I rely upon, as well as I saw Representative Slaughter here. Thank you very much for the work that you do together to make all this happen. So with that, I'm happy to take questions from members of the media, and I see Dan Petrella. Thank you. First of all, the city and the state are working together to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the migrants who are truly, potentially out in the elements during the worst time of year. The location and choosing the locations for the various shelters, and particularly going forward with the funding that we've provided. The city and the state have been working on this together. Ultimately, the city identifies the locations that are possible, and then the state is, stepping in and providing funding in order to create at least one of those, the shelter site that's not an already built facility. And then we are also funding, as you know, another site that is a built facility. So in terms of the operations, Garda World is running those operations. The contract is between Garda World and the state of Illinois. But as you know, law enforcement, for example, is a local endeavor. If there, God forbid, are fires, for example, that might occur, again, a local endeavor. The state doesn't offer any of those services, not what the state does, although we do have state police and they can step in when asked to, but it would typically be CPD, for example, on the police side, or the fire department. So again, those are services that are local, and then the state is providing resources and the contract with Garda World. Yeah, I think, again, this would be a city shelter. It's part of the city shelter system. I just want you to understand. Garda World being operational on site. And certainly if there are challenges, the city and the state will work together to communicate with Garda World what those challenges are that we need to overcome.
And you said at least this first site. Is there the possibility that the state might be helping the city with more of these base camps, or is that to be determined?
I was just pointing out that you know, we have an intake center that we're working together on with the city, and then there is a shelter site that's being worked on. So that's really what I was referring to, not another shelter site. Although again, the state has provided funding and resources for a already built site.
And just to clarify, the former CVS location a little bit, that's not the welcoming site, the intake site, that's a separate shelter operation.
Correct. Thank you.